guys? This is Burrs. I'm here with Nate Murr. We're going to talk to you today about bolt stops, bolt catches, bolt releases. There's lots of different terminology you can use for it. But I recently got a Badger ordinance, billet, bolt stop, and we're going to put it in. But we came to the conclusion that we should make a video because there's a zillion different ways you can actuate the bolt stop, left-handed, right-handed. Thank you, man. So what Nate wanted to do is kind of go over bolt stops, right-handed, left-handed, which way to actuate it, etc.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways that people return their bolt in the battery, right? So with an AR-15, when you fire the last round, the bolt will lock to the rear, okay? So that's the weapon telling me, hey, I'm out of ammo, it's time to reload me. So like you'll see when I fire my rifle, boom, 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 all of a sudden I get that mushy trigger. I always cant my weapon and look at my ejection port to see what's going on, right? I can see that very clearly from here. It's very easy to do, right? So I eject the magazine, I go in and insert my magazine, and now, well, how do I get the bolt back forward, right? There's a couple different ways I can do that, and most of them are controlled by this thing right here, the bolt catch. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit first. So the first technique is probably the most common. It's probably one of the things that's been utilized the longest on this rifle. Firing the weapon, boom, 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 mushy trigger. I observe, I see a follower, I don't see any brass, I see an empty chamber. I eject the magazine. Draw out that new magazine. So when you insert the magazine, the thumb slides forward, pushes in on the bolt catch, bolt goes to the battery, stripping a new round off that fresh magazine. And then what some guys would do is hold it by the magazine well, where their hand would just go back down to where they like to grab it in the forearm, right? So there's a lot of controversy about this because people say, well, it's a fine motor skill. It's a fine motor skill for my little thumb to find this little button, and it's potentially easy to mess up, right? Some people find it easy to mess up. Other people, they find it 100% of the time. So it's just a technique. I'm not going to say it's wrong, but I personally don't use this technique very often. So the next technique is a variation of this. So basically what happens is you insert the magazine, it locks in, and your whole hand just slides up and pushes in. So it just slides until it depresses that bolt catch. It goes forward, chambers around, and then my hand just returns back out. So insert magazine, hand just continues to slide up, push, come back in. I'm ready to fire again. Right? So the next technique is probably one of the most commonly taught ones in the military, which is the ping pong paddle. So what happens is I insert the magazine, it locks in, I just smack the bolt catch, chambers around, I'm ready to fire again, right? So the logic is, this is a small little button, I have a big hand, so I can smack it. Even if I hit it in the wrong way, odds are some part of my hand is going to make contact with that bolt catch and send the bolt forward, right? So what you'll see is guys insert magazine, smack, resume fire, and then you'll see other guys do it where it's very exaggerated, where they insert the magazine, they like wind up and smack it, but make it go back in the battery. So those are like the three primary techniques for a right-handed shooter: the thumb, the swipe, and the smack. Those are the three primary ways. With having a larger button, in the case of the Badger, it's a larger surface area, it's probably going to be a little bit easier to trip the bolt and send the bolt forward. So that's the advantage of having a larger bolt catch. So the bolt catch serves two purposes. It serves as a bolt release and as a bolt catch. By pushing at the bottom of the bolt catch and pulling the charging handle to the rear, that allows me to administratively lock my bolt to the rear. Okay? So the follower, on an empty magazine, pushes up on this, and that's what locks it to the rear, locking the bolt to the rear, letting you know that your weapon's out of ammunition. If you don't have a magazine inserted, you can just charge the weapon all day long. It's never going to lock to the rear unless you deliberately push on the bottom and lock your bolt to the rear. Right? So you can see on a traditional bolt catch, it's a very small area. It's kind of like a little divot, a little mound that you have to push in on. It's a little bit more difficult to engage than, say, a larger bolt catch. So that's the advantage of having a larger bolt catch. You might have texturing down here, maybe a larger surface area for you to engage. So that's kind of nice to have. I'd be more concerned about having a larger paddle if I was looking to upgrade my bolt catch, one that's just easier to release a bolt. That's more important than having a larger area to lock the bolt over there. So next we're going to talk about the advantages that a larger bolt catch might have to a left-handed shooter, right? So as a left-handed shooter, I'm firing my weapon, boom, 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 push the trigger, I'm out of ammo. My hand comes back, strips the magazine, comes up with a new magazine, inserts the magazine. Well, how do I send the bolt in the battery? My hand either slides around like this, hitting the button to trip the bolt, or alternatively, I insert the magazine, my hand comes up, pushes the paddle, and returns to that strong firing grip. So those are two techniques. Also, as a left-handed shooter, you have an advantage for locking your bolt to the rear because you can actually engage the bottom of the bolt catch, pull your charging over here, and lock it to the rear that way. Then you would go ahead, insert that magazine, trip the bolt, resume firing. Right? So, as a lefty, how you're manipulating your rifle, your gun hand's doing a couple tasks that a right-handed shooter wouldn't be doing. Right? So, as a right-handed shooter, I'm only hitting the magazine release and engaging the safety and actuating the trigger. As a left-handed shooter, I'm potentially using my gun hand to engage the bolt catch and trip it. So if you try both techniques, where you insert the magazine, do the reach around, trip the bolt, or alternatively, you insert the magazine, engage it that way and return fire. Either way is effective. Try both to see what works the best for you. Follower, I don't see brass, I'm out of ammo. So at that point, I would eject the magazine. Let me go over again.